We're talking about today is the brake fluid sensor on the Dodge Charger Chrysler 300 platform. I changed the master cylinder the other day because I had a long brake pedal. Bought a cheap replacement off of eBay by Centric, about 90 bucks, and everything fitted perfectly. Went to bled the brakes, all good, plug in afterwards and find I've got a brake caption. Reviewed forums over and over again, and people are telling me it's ABS, you've got codes, you've got air in the ABS module and all the rest of the rubbish like that. Everybody's just talking nonsense. All these experts on the internet are just talking bollocks. So what it is the obvious thing. The sensor that you get with the Centrica has got the wrong resistance in here. These sensors apparently aren't just off and on with as the float comes down. They're in a dry housing inside here. You can take it out when you've got fluid in there, no problem. There's a magnet on the float. When it hits the bottom, it trips a reed switch, short circuit, puts the caption on. However, when it's floating, it's not just an open circuit, so that you can't just unplug it and get rid of the caption. They've put a resistor in there, and the resistor value needs to be, as you can see here, pretty close to 10 kilo ohms. The one that I got with Centrica was 1 kilo ohm, and so that was causing it to put the caption on. I discovered this kind of by accident when I decided to measure rather than just conch check this, and I realised that it wasn't short and open, it was 10k and short. As you can see here, if you put a magnet down on the top of this, the reed switch will trip and you get short circuit. Float up, 9.9k, all good. So what you're going to need to do is, if you buy one of these reservoirs, conch check, or rather resistance check the sensor. If you've got 10 kilo ohms, then you're good to go. If it's anything less than about 8, I've found by experimentation, it's not going to work. The switches on the original one is easy to remove. You turn the reservoir upside down, there's a little tab, push it in, pull it out, and the only thing is that the Centric one is kind of like a bare housing, like you can see here. My one came with, or the original one comes with a housing over the housing. This particular thing, it's like a spacer, fits on there. It's got two little locking tabs, top and bottom. They're impossible to press in simultaneously and release. What I did is I just cut it with a X-Acto knife, just nip them off, pull this whole thing out, and now you've got it down to bare bones, and you can just push this into the housing, maybe a dab of hot glue on each side. The one that comes with the Centrica will come out, it's glued in, it's not done with a locking tab, it's just glued in with hot glue, that you'll find that once it's been in the engine compartment for about half an hour, it gets so hot that this thing will just wobble around. And if once you've plugged it all in, if you've already fitted it and are wondering what to do, you try and pull that plug off when the engine's hot, you'll pull the whole thing out of the housing. Not a big deal, a bit unnerving at first, but no fluid's going to come out. Then you can take the plug off, take this out and discard it. What I did, unfortunately, was I went and bought myself a big pack of resistors, and I cut it to bits. It uses super high temperature solder, about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and swapped out the resistor from the, where's this shitty one here? There's that was in there. As you can see, the markings on there, brown, black, red, 1 kilo ohm, useless. And so I desoldered that, put in a 10k one, and then put that back in there before I realised I might be able to take this one apart. So now I've got a spare. If anybody wants it, give me a shout and I'll mail it to you. Yeah, so if I've left anything out, just give me a shout.